What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love and Marriage Detroit, Season 1, Episode 7, Reconnecting and Disconnecting. So this episode starts off where last week's episode ended, which was the meeting between Christina and Kobe. So Kobe right now is accusing Christina of pillow talking to her husband, Brandon, saying that she copied her. And because we know the truth, that it was not Christina saying that, it was 100% Brandon saying that. And Brandon had said it to throw Christina off his back about him hiring a new artist, a new female artist, without telling her. So in order to get Christina off of that, he brings up this whole thing about Kobe copying her to kind of get her distracted. So it's frustrating when I see Kobe accusing Christina of putting that idea, the whole Kobe cat idea, into Brandon's head, when that whole thing was concocted purely by Brandon himself, and Christina had nothing to do with it. In fact, when Brandon initially brought it up to Christina saying that Kobe was copying her, Christina denied it. And Christina was like, that's my little sis, and she's not doing that. And she even said, well, I'm an influencer, and so I influence people. So I'm influencing her to be like me. So it was not regarding the whole Kobe, that's pure Brandon. It's got nothing to do with Christina. So Christina says that Brandon is his own person and he has his own mind. Kobe says that Christina and Brandon are as one because they're a married couple. Okay, that's fine. I get you, Kobe, on that. The law sees a married couple as one unit, but this unit is made up of two individuals who each have their own brain. And why is it so hard for Kobe to believe that Brandon thought of this all on his own? Is it because it's such a female thing to say that she doesn't want to believe that Brandon thought of this on his own and that Christina has something to do with it? I don't know. So Kobe says, so in her confessional, Kobe says that she could have handled the conversation a whole lot better. Kobe apologizes to Christina for how she handled the Harper Ray situation at the skating rink. Christina forgives Kobe. Christina then invites Kobe to her shut up and pray brunch, and then they hug it out at the end. Now, we all know that this is a very short-lived, or it's going to be a very short-lived truce, because there's only 3 women on this show. And you don't have a show if you don't have conflict. And LaToya, she's the peacemaker. She doesn't like drama. She doesn't like, things getting out of hand and people arguing. So no one's really going to have any beef with her. But so you have to have Christina and Kobe to have beef with each other. So obviously, this is a very short-lived truce. So Anthony and LaToya. Anthony and LaToya, they're having a photo shoot for a lookbook that they're doing for an upcoming Detroit designer. They get a chance to have a conversation, and Anthony is getting LaToya caught up about what happened at the Bible study. Now, Anthony said the Bible study went really well. And I'm like, okay, other than the very end, where else did it go very well? Because Anthony was being typical Anthony. He was getting emotional, irrational. He was screaming and shouting and yelling like a toddler. So it didn't get it didn't get good until the very, very end, when they kind of were like, you know what, let's just squash all this. They got up, they held hands, and they prayed. That's the only time that it was really positive. That whole entire Bible study was, it was a mess. So Brandon tells his wife, Anthony tells his wife that Brandon had lied about what was said or not said about the publicist. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a very much he said type of situation. Because when Brandon confronted Anthony at the Bible study about what was said, or what Anthony said he said, Brandon kept his cool. And he stood his ground. And he's like, I never said that. I didn't even know this woman was your publicist. Anthony was the one that got extremely emotional and bent out of sorts. So I don't really know who's telling the truth on whether or not Brandon said that he did not fool with that publicist. I don't know what reason Brandon would have to say something like that about the publicist, because Anthony he's not really explaining why Brandon would have such a strong dislike for this woman that he would talk about her to Anthony. So I don't know who's really telling the truth there, but Anthony tells his wife LaToya, Brandon denied saying what he said about the publicist. And LaToya says that she just wants everybody to get along. And so she's inviting everybody to a trip, like a weekend getaway to a place called Traverse City. Now, Brandon and Christina, they're having date night. Christina says to her husband, Brandon, that she never really feels protected. And I agree with her 100%, because there are moments that we have seen where you feel like he should have been there for his wife. He should have defended her. Instead, he basically throws her under the bus. He doesn't have a problem going toe to toe with her in front of people, arguing with her in front of people, which to me, I think is a big no-no. You never, ever attack your spouse in public in front of other people. Everybody knows that married couples have issues. They have fights, they have arguments, disagreements. There are times that married couples just don't like each other. But I think that you should always put up a united front. I don't think you have to be super duper fake about it, but for sure, don't fight in front of people. Don't bring out your marital issues in front of everybody like that. Now, the worst was at the winery, not at the wine event that LaToya was hosting. That was bad. That was ugly. Okay, that was really ugly. And so the way that Brandon and Christina were arguing in front of everybody, and neither one of them wanted to back down because they were both extremely stubborn. It was just nasty. It was really bad. And it doesn't even seem like they even regret acting like that. Because I don't even remember if they apologized to LaToya for behaving like that at her winery. And you can blame it on the alcohol to a certain extent, because everybody was drinking, but not everybody was going at it like that. So that just shows that Brandon and Christina have some serious underlying issues in their marriage that is really quick to surface whenever either one of them is triggered by the other. And they don't give a damn where they're at, because they both have to prove that they're right. So it was bad. So Christina blames the way that he acts on his childhood and says that because, he wasn't held accountable, he was never told what to do. It seemed like he was extremely spoiled. It seems like his parents just let him run wild, according to how Christina tells it. So because he never had that strong discipline in that direction, he's not used to having a very outspoken, strong-willed wife who expects certain things and has certain expectations of her husband. He's not used to that. He's used to doing whatever the hell he wants to do. But Christina has expectations, and she needs him to act a certain way and to do certain things in a certain way, which is her way. So he also talks about her. He says, you know what? I never knew how much, you kind of like ran your family. You're the one that controls everybody in your family. You tell everybody what to do. You're extremely bossy. You're very headstrong. Everybody bows down to you. And so that's crazy how you have these two very strong-willed people in this marriage together, and they're both set in their ways, and neither one of them is willing to back down. But I guess the date night went well, because at the end of it all, he proclaimed his wife in front of everybody he proclaimed his love for his wife in front of everybody at the restaurant. So I guess they had a good date night. Good for them. So moving on to Anthony. He meets up with Lyrique, who used to be an artist, I guess, but he's mainly like a music producer. Now, Lyrique has a studio that's not too far away from Brandon's studio. So Anthony wants Lyrique to be a judge at the showcase that's going to be presented at the Men's Movement celebration. Lyrique and Brandon, their studios are close to one another, but they don't work together. They've never worked together at all. And so it seems like their conflict, or the reason why they don't fool with each other, it's got something to do with Christina. Because way back in the day, in the early 2000s, Lyrique worked with Christina because Christina, I guess, was an up-and-coming singer or an aspiring singer, and Lyrique had produced a few of her songs. And Anthony had no idea that Christina was a singer, and Lyrique was, yeah. In fact, let me let you hear some of her music. So he plays a song sung by Christina, and Anthony was pretty much impressed. He was like, wow, I didn't know. And so Anthony was like, I'm not understanding, if Christina has the vocals, why wouldn't her husband, who's a music producer and he's always looking for new artists, why wouldn't he want to make something of her voice and her talent? And so I never agree with Anthony ever. But when Anthony said that, I was like, good point, Anthony. Why wouldn't Brandon want to capitalize on his wife's voice? Now, when they played her song, it didn't blow me away. She's one of those singers where I don't know if she's afraid of her talent. She's afraid to really, showcase her vocals, or if she just can't sing like that. But she does that singing that's really popular right now with a lot of these young female artists. It's kind of like that whisper sing. It's like I'm whispering and I'm singing at the same time, because you really don't have the vocals to like blow it out like an Aretha or like Gladys or like Patty. You really don't have this. The vocals are not that strong, but they're strong enough to carry a tune. So she didn't blow my mind, but she can definitely carry a tune. So yeah, Brandon, why won't you want to capitalize on your wife's voice? Because the way she's singing is kind of like what's in right now. Moving on to Christina's Shut Up and Pray brunch. So Latoya goes to pick up Kobe. Kobe tells Latoya about her meeting with Christina. Kobe says that Christina told her that Anthony was the one talking about everybody to the publicist. Now, Latoya absolutely, positively did not believe that. She's like, no, my husband would not do that. He's not the kind to gossip and to, talk bad about people. So Latoya says that Christina is attacking Anthony's character, and, sweet little Latoya, she says she's going to be confronting Christina at some point to address this. They arrive at the brunch. Everybody shows up. Both Chelseas show up because Christina and Kobe, they each have a best friend named Chelsea, and they both showed up kind of wearing the same outfit. Now, Kobe wanted to address Brandon about the whole Kobe cat thing, but she realized because her husband wasn't there that this was not the place to address that. Brandon was there to help out setting up everything. So Latoya invites everybody to her trip to Traverse City. Everybody was obliged, I guess. Latoya was really moved by the pastor. So Christina had a keynote speaker who was this female pastor, and she got up there and she gave a sermon, and Latoya was moved. She was out of her seat. Her hand was up in the air. She really felt that sermon. So Latoya tells her, Latoya decides, I want to talk to Christina. I want to confront Christina about, the way she's been moving around in this city. So she pulls her to the side, and she tells her that Kobe had filled her in about what Christina had said about the conversation she had with the publicist. Now, Christina admitted the publicist told her Anthony said that she and Brandon didn't like her. But then Christina went a little bit further. She said that the publicist also told her that Anthony had said some negative things about Kobe and Russell, which really wasn't true because they played the clip. And the publicist had told Christina, yeah, I wanted to have a conversation with both you and Brandon because Anthony had told me that, y'all didn't really want to work with me, or Brandon didn't want to fool with me. And nothing was said about Russell and Kobe. It was just strictly about Brandon. So I don't understand why Christina would tell Latoya that, yeah, Anthony also said that Kobe and Russ were saying things about the publicist as well. So Latoya, she's defending her husband. My husband didn't say that. Christina stood 10 toes deep. She was like, yes, your husband said that. Anthony said that. He said stuff about me and Brandon, and he said stuff about Kobe and Russell. Yes, he did. He said that to the publicist. And so Latoya at some point was like, okay, well, let's just call her. Let's just call the publicist right now and see what she has to say. Christina didn't want to do it because she knew she was lying. So she didn't want to do it at all. So they go back and forth. It was a very long, drawn out conversation. They're going back and forth. Because Christina tried to get under Latoya's skin. When she realized, I think Christina realized that she probably had misspoke or just, flat out lied about the publicist saying that Anthony was talking about Kobe and Russell as well. So in order to kind of get Latoya off of that, she starts to talk to her in a way that really got under Latoya's skin, because Christina has a way of talking to people that is extremely condescending. And she knows that her tone, the tone that she's using and the way that she's talking, she knows that this is really aggravating to people. And it's kind of like you're talking to a child that's really not getting it. And I'm not understanding how Christina hasn't ended up in the hospital a couple of times by somebody just mollywopping her upside her head when she gets that tone, because it's extremely annoying. So Latoya says that she has spent 8 years earning her doctorate and studying human behavior. And she says that, she's been observing Christina and she's realizing that Christina's actions don't really match her words. And so Christina was like how? Give me an example. And so Latoya says, well, you like to talk about sisterhood, but you can't even pick up a phone and call your friend when, she reached out to you. And she's referring to when Kobe reached out to Christina about working with her about Harper Ray. So Christina says, and what does that have to do with you? And Latoya was like, it's got nothing to do with me, but girl, you asked for an example, and Latoya gave you an example of how your actions don't match your words. So Latoya was like, it's got nothing to do with me. It just shows how your actions don't fit your words. So then Christina says, you think you know what you're talking about. You always think that you know what you're talking about, but you don't. Is that what that degree got you? So Latoya was like, don't do that. And then Latoya says in her confessional, Christina is always playing the victim. And that's where the segment ended. The way that Christina taught, and she's done this, I think she did this with Brandon. She keeps her voice very even toned. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't escalate herself, but she's like very, really? Is that what you think? Oh, really? Is that what that degree got you? 8 years of training, and this is what you come up with? Are you serious? Really? Dr. Latoya Harris, is that what you really think? It's like so infuriating. But Latoya stood her ground because Latoya is a very composed, controlled woman. But anybody else, you come to them with that tone, they would mollywop you upside the head. Like, for example, if you were to put Christine on the Real Housewives of Atlanta and she talked like that to some of those women over there, honey, it would be such a brawl. Or you, man. Okay, Christina, you lied. Okay, you lied when you said that Anthony said that Russell and Kobe were talking about the publicist. It was a big fat lie. And I hope that doesn't come back to haunt you. Because if you are proven to be a liar, Christina, I really feel sorry for you because that was so unnecessary. Anyways, that is my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.